It's another episode of Wearable Today. I always want to say This Week in Google Glass. Wearable Today. This week we're going to be talking about what's the original wearable technology. Is the Tamagotchi the original wearable technology? We're going to talk about some really weird tech that's coming out. That is also wearable tech. Also, some watch companies are really getting upset because of some of your wearable watches out there and looking like $2.6 billion watches or whatever the number is. That, and we've got a whole bunch more next on Wearable Today. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek. You've got Geekazine and, of course, Wearable Today, Jeff at wearabletoday.com or Jeff at twigg.tv if you want to go old school route on things. And, of course, as always, my two cohorts in crime. Used to be one, now it's two. Luke, how you doing?
Doing good tonight, Jeff. Yeah, and Birdie's here with me on my shoulder, just hanging out. You can find me on Twitter at Luke Luca or on Google Plus at +Luke Wallace, or the email address for this show, Luke at twigg.tv, twigg.tv.
Don't you mean Luke at wearabletoday.com?
Does that work now?
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't gotten an email yet, so.
Okay, Luke at wearabletoday.com. Be the first one to send in an email, and we'll give you a shout out on the show.
All right.
Or I will. I don't know.
Will Birdie give a shout? I'll set up a Birdie email address if
Birdie at wearabletoday.com.
Yeah, why not?
There you go. If you want to email Birdie, it's Birdie, I guess. Birdie at wearabletoday.com.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. I gotta set it up first.
Send all your fan mail.
Yeah. So what the hey? So, all right. Well, now that Birdie's got an email address, let's get into the show, and with our big news, little arms, and a Birdie. All right, we're gonna start over. Well, actually, whoops. Hold on a second here. I don't have things set up right. I'm totally messed up right now. Hold on one second here. Well, that's weird. Why don't you start with the first article, Luke, and I'll get it all set up.
Okay, so first up, we head over to the Daily Mail's Science and Tech blog, where Intel has unveiled their latest wearable. It's a $495 smart band aimed at women. Developed with fashion brand Opening Ceremony, the snakeskin bracelet is called My Intelligent Communication Accessory, or MICA for short. It displays text messages, calendar items, and events from Google and Facebook, and recommendations of nearby restaurants and stores from Yelp. The feminine communications accessory will be available by early December in the United States, so that's in just the next week or two, and will retail exclusively at Opening Ceremony New York and Opening Ceremony Los Angeles, select Barney's New York locations, and online at openingsceremony.us and barneys.com.
All right, next up is a Kickstarter campaign set up adapter for the Moto 360. It's called the Steel Connect M, and it allows you to use any 22mm watch strap by replacing the existing watch strap with a set of stainless steel adapters. The M hook gives the loop to attach a pocket watch chain, which is something that a lot of people seem to want to have done with some of their wearable stuff here. The Kickstarter has surpassed its initial goal, so head on over to Kickstarter to pre-order yours now. The adapter should ship early in next year.
So, you get a new smartwatch, and the first thing you want to do is put a custom watch face on it to make it look like one of those fancy watches you've seen. Well, watchmakers Omega, Panera, Swatch, and Tissot, I'm not exactly a watch expert, so excuse my mispronunciation of those if I said them wrong. I'm pretty sure I got Swatch right. Are working on a takedown. They're working on putting out takedown notices for anyone posting a watch face that looks similar to their faces. Engadget has this report that watch face hosts like Face Pro, which is a place you can download watch faces from, are complying with the requests. So, faces like the one on Patek Philippe's Grandmaster Chime may only be available if you buy the actual watch, which is a cool $2.6 million.
I like how you said that cool 2.6 million.
Yeah, just just within reach, but you may have to save up a couple of paychecks for that one.
What are you talking about? I got like 50 Pateks in my living room, just sitting on the wall. I just they're art, right? Okay, so
I guess I don't know.
all right. Well, in the ever rumor mill Google closing down Google Glass and stuff. Speaking of which, I don't have my Google Glass on. In the ever rumor millish area of that, well, Google base camps are actually closed in the United States here. The original places to buy Google Glass, the base camps, were deemed unneeded since people could purchase glass via the internet. That's that new fandangled thing that we all know and love. Some are still saying that this is a ramp down from the Glass project because interest has fallen. For now, if you want Google Glass, you will have to order them online. So you'll have to get an internet connection and you'll have to get a computer. I know, those things are expensive. And you'll have to go to this http:// you basically have to go and you get the device. That's pretty much you have to order them online. So to see a picture of the London base camp, which is still the London base camp's still around, right?
I think so. I don't know if they announced that one closing yet.
So you can check out the story at businessinsider.com.au.
So, wounded in Afghanistan, Captain Derek Herrera lost functionality in his legs. When he received the Bronze Star, however, he stood and walked to the podium. How, you may ask? Using the Rewalk exoskeleton. This is an FDA-approved $70,000 wearable robotic device that powers Herrera's hip and knee motion and allows him to walk completely unaided. Herrera is the first American to own such a device. You can read more and watch video of Captain Herrera in action over at fox6now.com, where they have the story.
All right. And then finally, San Francisco launched an international summit for urban wearables. IoT City Summit and Challenge will challenge developers to make apps, ultimately making urban life more manageable. Teams will have 2 months to develop the working prototypes. With the best prototypes, will work with Wearable World in about 15 more weeks. The summit does take place on March 10th and 11th, so I will not be there because that's South by Southwest, and there's lots of I'm surprised that they're doing that on that week, but that's basically that, and that is this part of the big news. Big news, little arms.
Waiting for the dinosaur to come in. Sorry. Got ahead of myself.
Extra roar there. First of all, apologies about that. When something goes wrong, you're just befuddling, and then I got thrown off on the whole thing. So now I think I'm going to say we've got it all figured out. Now we're good to go. So, Luke, how's been your week? I mean, it's been cold, but I actually, before we get into this, I want to show you this really quick. Just so, because you don't get snow at all, and it's been snowing here in my city, which is
yeah, Madison, Wisconsin. You've made that joke too many times for me to forget.
Yeah, well, yeah. Apparently, you did forget. So
no, I didn't forget.
So here, I decided I'm gonna help you out here to get into the winter mode. I know it's a little bit cold, 40 degrees or something like that, but it's not snowing out, and it's snowing here. And I recorded this earlier today on my GoPro, and we had some happy squirrels running in the front yard, but. Right now they're not running in the front yard, but this is the scene. Well, technically about a couple hours ago. The snow has accumulated. We've got a couple inches on the ground, which means sometime in the next 12 hours I'm going to definitely be shoveling my walk. So just for you, Luke, I thought I'd put that out there for you.
Yeah, I think it got up above 60 today. It was in the mid 60s. We're supposed to have nice weather. I think it's supposed to be in the 70s by the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're gonna wear shorts and everything like that?
Probably could. I don't know if I will, but
All right. So, well, there you go. That's just so you know. I'll play it a little bit here. Let me play it a little bit more for you.
that's what's going on in your neck of the woods.
That's what's going on in my neck of the woods. Is the snow? This is right out my front door, and well, a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I
Time
did it
delay. Yeah.
I did it on the GoPro, so I had to take time to straighten it out and everything like that.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Well, thank you, and it's very cold, so which is why I've got the sweatshirt on instead of the regular shirt. So, but anyway, anything happened for you this last week?
Oh, not too much. I don't guess. Did a little bit of stuff this weekend for some wearables. Not wearable tech maybe, but some wearables for Big Letter Shirt. Been working on some prototypes there of some new website functionality where you'll be able to. Well, the idea is you'll be able to type out the word or phrase or letters that you want to see on a shirt and kind of get a little preview of a crowd of people standing, wearing those shirts. So you can kind of see what. Yes, Bertie, I know. You can kind of see what that crowd would look like. So put a little bit of that together. So it'd be pulling pictures from the live site.
Have you been over to Mark Cuban's place and try and get licensing for the Dallas Mavericks at all or anything like that?
I haven't. I really want to do some guerrilla marketing as far as getting some friends together and going to a Mavs game and spelling out Mavs or Dirk or something like that. It's mostly just buckling down and actually doing it.
Okay.
So,
do you have anything other than letters yet? You said you were going to get some characters, right?
So we've got an exclamation point, which is a great addition to any shirt or any phrase. Makes you really excited about that phrase. Also, just kind of a fun shirt to wear around. I like wearing mine that I have, but no, haven't expanded yet. Still waiting on some more orders to come in and kind of see what the demand is for. But yeah, so that's wearable related, although not wearable tech too much.
Yeah, it still works. So, other than that, take any pictures with your Google Glass or anything like that?
Nope. This may be something that comes up in our later discussion, but yeah, I haven't taken too many with it. Occasionally here and there, capturing some quick snapshots, but nothing particularly interesting.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's what we do. What we talk about and how what's going on in the world of wearables and for me, the same thing. The glass has been on the hook there for the last week here. As my plans for Barcelona are fast approaching next week. Speaking of which, show notes for everybody is next week we will not have a show for I will be in Barcelona, Spain, and then the one thing about the wearable tech now consumables is that when it comes holiday time, I'm gonna guess that there's gonna be a lot of not much news. So we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do in the next few weeks. Luke said he's had a couple obligations that he's got to take care of, and of course obligations I got to take care of, and then CES come at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to be going to CES for that. So we're going to figure it out. We're definitely going to have a couple more episodes towards the end of the year as Bertie is attacking Luke, I'm seeing. Are you okay?
I'm doing just fine. She's just getting restless, I think. So.
Okay.
No, it's not you. It's not you. She can't hear you.
Is it restless bird syndrome? Because I have restless leg syndrome. I know what that's like, but I don't know about restless bird syndrome.
Yeah. No, she's doing fine. She just,
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so I know we're both going to be busy, and so we were talking about that on the show. So do you want to talk about maybe the end of year kind of stuff we were thinking about? I mean, it's not next week, but
Well, let's right now we got plans, we got ideas, and of course, if we get some guests on, then we'll get the guests going too, because we haven't ruled that part out yet. But right now, there is no show next week, but and then 2 weeks we're still up in the air on that. I might do a solo show because Luke is going to be away. Unless Luke, you want to do a solo show next week?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe.
Actually,
Maybe.
it'd be a dual show for you because you do have Birdie.
I'd have Birdie on my shoulder. So I think we'll see what the news brings in over the course of the next week, and if there's enough stuff that it'd be a solid show. At least we could do big news, little arms. Although I don't think I'd have the graphic to show. So
I can
people,
send you the
but
graphic. I can
okay,
send you the graphic. So
I'd have to make the sound effects myself, which I do anyway. So I think I could do it. I think I could do at least that segment and get people kind of caught up on the news.
there you go. There you go. So, other than that, we have the question and answer app up. If you have any questions there, nothing seems to be in that part. So, with that said and done, I think it's time. It's definitely time to move on to the next segment of the show, and that is the Apple Watch Watch. And basically, Apple Watch is not out yet, and we're still watching this. We're still watching the Apple Watch Watch, and this week we're over at what is this? imore.com, I think it is, and basically Apple released the iWatch Kit SDK to developers so they could start building extensions for their apps to work on Apple Watch. Luke, what's the deal on this whole thing? Why don't you fill us in?
Okay, so the name of the SDK is Watch Kit, much like they have Health Kit and a bunch of other kits. That's kind of how Apple names all of their specific SDKs or parts of the iOS SDK. They're all called kits. And so this is Watch Kit. So you use it to build extensions or apps, if you will, for the Apple Watch. Basically, we learned that there's a few different kinds of elements that you'll see on the Apple Watch. So there are things that are called glances, which are what it sounds like are cards that are non-interactive, but they allow you to launch the app on the watch. So they gave the example of a to-do list app where it might have a glance that says, "Hey, you've got three things on your to-do list," and then you could tap that and it would bring up the to-do list app that would show you those three items. Then there's notifications, which are pretty easy to understand. The basic concept, right? You get an email, you get a text message, so the notification would get passed to the watch. Well, there's two modes for notification: one called short look and one called long look. And short look shows when you first kind of glance at your watch, you hold it up and you see the notification. Well, if you hold it there for a few seconds or tap, they haven't said exactly how long that time is, or I didn't see it. I'm not in that world myself, but if you look at it for a little bit longer or tap on it, it'll switch over to this long look mode. So the idea is if you just wanted to quickly see what it was, you just kind of hold it up and look down, and then put your hand down. And if you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting, I wonder, and then it would change to the long look mode, and now you're staring at it, and you're seeing the additional information, and maybe it's about your you got a notification that your flight is delayed, so it pops it up and it says, your flight 20 minutes delayed, and then if you hold it there for a second, it might pop up and say, it might give you some more information, what gate it's at, what that actual departure time is, boarding time or something like that. So it could actually show a little bit more information, but it's not going to overload you with information at the very beginning.
Okay. Well, that's lots of interesting stuff there. So this gives developers the ability to really get into the watch system and get things going, so they can have their stuff out in time, right?
Yeah. This is what Apple does a lot, where they actually release the SDK before the hardware's ready or done, kind of like with the latest version of iOS, with iOS 8, they released the SDK well in advance so that you can develop on it and get your apps working on it before the device comes out. Same thing with Google. They released the SDKs for Android Wear and Android 5.0 before it actually was released officially. So it's always possible that this watch kit could change. There could be a few features that they don't want to announce just yet, and so they leave those out of the SDK so that they can so that people don't get too much insight into something in the Apple Watch. But they're usually going to favor releasing as much as they can so that people can build as good of apps as they can before the device launches. They don't want the device to launch and have these cool features that none of the apps are built for. So this is probably the majority of what it is. They did say that all of the apps require a phone, and you won't be able to have apps that run solely on the device. Most of the processing, or almost all of the processing, happens on the phone itself. They have said that that feature is coming, but that'll probably come sometime next year.
Oh, so it'll be like a screenshot to the watch type thing? A virtual,
something like that. It'll be a little, I think it'll be a little bit more than that, but not a whole lot. That's kind of a good way to think about it. Of like your phone will kind of send screenshots to the watch to show, and then you'll interact with those, and then it'll send back information. So there won't really be a whole lot happening on the device itself. But they said that it is coming probably next year.
Now, I'm also assuming that this is you have to have an Apple developer's license on there. Was it $99, or maybe they're going to pump it up to $125 now?
No,
for that device.
So you do have to have an Apple developer account, but those are actually free. You only have to pay the fee if you're wanting to publish your app in the App Store. So
yeah.
So if you just want to download the SDK and look through all the assets and build a watch app, or run other watch apps that you see people posting, you can do all that for free without any sort of cost. You do have to have Mac hardware to run, or at least Mac software. I suppose you can have a Mac software running on other hardware, but you definitely have to have some Mac software, OS X, to run all of the dev tools.
Yeah, that's true. So I am wondering if it will still be $99, or if they'll start either splitting it off, saying if you only make watch apps, that it's only $30 or something like that, or maybe they'll just increase the whole price for the developer account once you start selling apps to a little bit more than $99. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. But do you know of anybody that's making apps at this point in time for Apple Watch?
So I work for a company. People watch the show. So I work for a company, Bottle Rocket. We have a lot of clients that are kind of big brands, but I can't talk about what we're doing for the Apple Watch.
Oh yeah, and I didn't mean for Bottle Rocket. I meant because you're in a few developers circles out there. So
most of my developer friends are in the Android community. I do have a few friends that I don't work with that are in the iOS world. I don't know of any off the top of my head that you should be on the lookout for. That'll be something, I think, as we get closer to the actual Apple Watch launch. That might be something that we'll see a lot of news. We'll have a lot of people saying, here's this app I wrote, download it day one, or download it now, because really these are extensions. You don't have to have the watch to download the app. You'll just have to, you just won't be able to use the watch portion of it until you actually get your watch. So it'll be neat as we get closer to see which apps are going to have watch support.
Okay. So yeah, definitely it'll be interesting to see how that works. And of course, if anybody's out there that is developing apps for Apple, feel free to contact us. Get in touch with us, and we'll have you on the show, and go from there. So that'd be interesting to get a couple developers, see how easy or how difficult, more difficult, less difficult it is to actually do a watch development as opposed to an app development on the phone. So, but for now, I think we've covered this pretty good. So that was this segment, Apple Watch. Let's check in on the snow here. Yeah, it's still snowing.
Yeah.
So I just you're not seeing the snow. You gotta you gotta love some of that snow. Every
Yeah.
time we have an episode, I'm gonna record a couple minutes of the outside for you, just so you have the feeling
See
and
what
you
a real
understand.
winter is like. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that
uh,
would be a. I think that might shut down the city if we got that much snow.
well,
Watch out.
you've had that much snow before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I remember it was 3 years ago. I went down and we saw Dallas Stadium and it was snowing the 2 days that we were there, and there was snow on the ground too. So it
Yeah.
was about
Yeah. No,
that
we
much.
get snow occasionally. We've been getting snow every year for the past few years. Not a lot, but um, several inches.
Yeah.
But yeah, not nearly as often as you guys
Yeah,
get it.
actually, this last week, apparently they said that there's only one state in the United States that did not get snow, and apparently that was Alaska. No, I'm kidding. It was Hawaii.
Yeah.
So, but everybody gets snow. It happens. So, all
Yeah.
right, let's get into some meat and potatoes here for Wearable today. You know, I've I've seen pictures of wearables and stuff that was before wearable technology that was that could be considered wearable technology. And I read this article today, and I'm thinking to myself, gosh, I remember when this is all the fad. In fact, when in my Day in Tech History podcast, I talk about it. 1996, a company called Bandai came out with a thing called the Tamagotchi, and so I was reading this, and this is over on Medium.com. So they were talking about how the Tamagotchi could have been the first real wearable for you. And, and that might not totally be true, because then if you think about it, then our old Casio digital watches and the calculator watches, which I believe might have preceded the 1996 Tamagotchi, would have done this. And of course, in all this reality, this wearable tech in Bandai it's not something that could give you information back like steps or heart rate or anything like that, which seems to be where wearable tech is going nowadays, is to monitor and collect and record. But the Tamagotchi also was about taking care of something. And if you didn't take care of something, it died. And I remember getting my first Tamagotchi, and I'll tell you something, my bird died within a week. And I wasn't like Sheldon Cooper on The Big Bang Theory, where he says that he's successfully maintained a working Tamagotchi since 1996. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Is the Tamagotchi considered wearable technology, first of all?
Hmm. I don't know, because you're, I guess, I don't know. It could be because it was something you really had to carry around. I never had one. My brother had one, and he played with it. And for a couple of months, he carried that thing everywhere. So, in a sense, I could see it being wearable technology because it's something you keep with you. And I guess you don't think of it as wearable because it didn't have that activity tracking. Although later devices that were similar to that, I know it's a lot more recent, but the Nintendo had a pedometer trainer for your Pokemon, where the steps you took could be kind of fed back in and would help level up your Pokemon. So Tamagotchi probably would have gotten to that state fairly quickly if they had remained popular and kind of kept enhancing that technology. So maybe it was because it was something that you did it. I think his take on it's kind of interesting, how it kind of flips it on its head over what we think of wearable technology, where it was demanding you do things, right? Feed me, pet me, whatever you got to do to take care of this thing. So that's kind of different than wearable, where we think of we do things and it measures that and we get positive reinforcement for, hey, you took a lot of steps today, good job. Whereas the Tamagotchi just like forced you to do it or it would die. So kind of the same end result, though. You get positive reinforcement for doing something over and over again. So I don't know if I'd call it wearable tech, but it's definitely that personal technology that maybe everything's going towards, where you've
Yeah.
got, you know, something. I like how he talks about having a relationship almost with the technology, and caring about the technology that you have in really meaningful ways. So it was very close if it wasn't wearable tech.
Yeah, there was other wearables out there, like the reputer was one of them, which I also talk about on Day in Tech History. It was technically the first smart watch because you plugged it into your computer. Around Windows 95 time, you could download some spreadsheets, you could download some of your calendar information, and then have that on your watch. There was, of course, no Bluetooth at the time, and wireless was just starting to get to that aspect of wearables. There were also some other wearables. Back at that time, well, it was 96, so I was still doing Windows 95 support. We were ramping into other contracts, but before that, I think this was 94. I was doing software tech uh, uh, testing with a biomedical company, and I was testing EMG, EEG, sleep therapy, and then they had this brand new computer, which was a 386 DX. No, it was actually it was a 486. Now I'm thinking about it, 486. I had a box there, and in the box it had this cord and like this little square, looked like a piece of graphite or something like that. And then what you would do is you'd hold it in your hand, and we had to test it this way. You hold it in your hand, and it would get really hot, and then it would get really cold. And the idea was that this is supposed to test out stroke victims or stroke patients, and to test how their hands are feeling in hot and cold situations. So they would then say, "Hey, it's too hot to handle," and then you hit the button, and it'll start cooling down, and they'll go, "Oh wait, that's too cold." And then doctor could gauge if there's a problem or if they're getting better or something like that. So, and of course EMG, EEG, that's where you get all the diodes hooked up on you, and you go for your CPAP test or something like that for sleep apnea, or the EMG electromyography, which could test a lot of different things. We had a lot of cool wearable tech when it came to the biotech field that we tested. And one thing, it's called the Gansfield machine, and you basically stick your head in there, and it shines some lights, but it also makes a lot of people throw up. And that was the one thing that we always tried to do as software testers, was try to make the other person throw up. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But
Uh,
these were the what's called the wearable tech back in 1996, 1995. And of course, if we delve back even farther, I saw a picture of a guy wearing a TV set strapped to his head, and it looked like like a 1960s TV set. So I bet you there's other wearable tech that predates Tamagotchi. Now, getting back to Tamagotchi, is it wearable tech? Is it not wearable tech? It's not a wearable sensor tech
yeah.
that can go back and forth. But yeah, it definitely can tell time and tell you it's time to feed me, and time to put me to sleep, and time to sing me a song. There, the Piano Man. So
Hmm. Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, interesting. Definitely an interesting take on it. Like looking back and saying, you know what, people have had this idea before, and it was just a slightly different form. And
well,
I
yeah.
guess,
Nowadays we have the sensors to put into devices, and we have the technology. We can build them. Speaking of which, did you hear there's going to be a $6 billion man movie coming out?
oh, really?
Yeah,
Didn't hear about that.
and I think they got the actor for the $6 billion. I'll look it up here in a second here, but yeah, that's the ultimate wearable tech right there if you think about it. The $6 million man, now 6 billion.
6 billion. Yeah, that makes more sense.
So, all right, well, let's move on here. We've got another article, a very interesting one that I read today. Let's hope it didn't pop out the. Hold on a second here. Where's my mouse? Hello, here, mouse. Ah. All right. The 13 weirdest wearables that you can strap to your body. Now, this first one, the one on top here, I've seen this in action, and basically what that does is they say it's supposed to measure your brain waves, and your ears, the ears on top, are supposed to act like a mood ring. And so they have that, and they can have a couple other very weird tech ones. Did you go through the 13 there?
I did. I looked through all 5 pages of it.
Which ones? Was there any that you liked in particular?
I guess I always gravitate towards more practical ones. There was one on page 2 that's about fitness sensors, and the first one on page 2 is about the measuring. Let's see, hydration, electrolytes, muscle fatigue, some things like that the sensors kind of hook up to. I'm guessing there's more to it than just what they show there, because it seems like it's missing a chip or some way to actually get that information out. But I don't know, maybe it's all embedded there underneath that. But things like that, that's kind of interesting. I could see people running marathons or other long distance runners having something like that kind of on their body so that they could have an easy way to track that information in a very comfortable way. The shoes are kind of interesting. There's a lot of stuff on here that it looks really odd right now. I think there's a few like hug ones, but things like a baby monitor and
This
like
this is the baby monitor. So
yeah,
the little turtle technically is the monitor, and did it also say something about being able to monitor if the diaper is wet or something like that?
I don't know if that was part of that particular one. It looks like it's respiration, skin temperature, body position, activity level.
Yeah. Picks up on audio, figures out feeding schedules and more. So yeah, I thought it also had something if the
so that seems really practical actually.
It also pops out when the onesie needs a wash. So it doesn't say if the diaper's full, but it does say if the onesie needs to be cleaned. Maybe my laundry basket should have that. I got to do laundry tomorrow, so. So there's a lot of very interesting single. Let's see if I can get another one here.
Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, so there's like the Oculus, which doesn't really seem like. I mean, I guess it's something you wear, so that's why they're calling it wearable. But you can't really walk around with the current dev versions. I think future ones will probably have something where you can at least get around your house, but you probably wouldn't want to walk around too much out in the open. But
here's the other one, the password pill. That was pretty interesting.
Password pill is really interesting that it could. They said it has FDA approval already, so that would be something of. You swallow this pill and then you use that as your password. So it's really easy for you, but it's really hard for someone else to fake because they don't have the same pill inside their body. So
I have take the blue pill or the red pill. This is the password 1. This is password 2.
Yeah.
Can you hack into something like that? I suppose you could if you knew how to do it.
I don't know if you could hack into it because I think it just generates the password. And so, but you could probably, it seems like you could collect that password somehow and then.
Well, it's got to transmit the password.
Yeah.
To the device in question. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably. There's probably some way to do it.
Oh yeah, and then there's this one, probably one of my favorites out of this whole thing. The True Love Tester.
Yeah.
I am like, what the heck in the world? So, it's also going to tell if it's cold outside, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just very strange because it somehow it unhooks when it senses the woman is feeling true love. And you're like, wait, what? Like that? How would you even sense that? Like, I'm very skeptical that this will one actually be bought by anyone. I don't know. It's just one of those really weird things. I suppose someday there'll be some practical use for this technology, but this just doesn't seem like it. So.
Well, it reminds me of this device right here. I'm looking it up really quick. Let me pull it over to the screen here. Saw this on a few months ago, where apparently this device is a collector of certain bodily fluids, and they have a video down there, which I'm not gonna really play, but this is wearable tech too, if you think about it. Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
It is wearable tech. It's just I don't want to be wearing that tech, especially if lots of guys use that tech.
Yeah. No, I don't like where this conversation's going.
I don't like where this conversation's going either. But we have to talk about all aspects of wearable technology, and that is an aspect of wearable technology. I'm sorry to say so. But definitely some weird tech out there. So if you guys out there find weird tech and you want to let us know, just drop us a line over at Jeff@wearabletoday.com or Luke@wearabletoday.com or Birdie at wearabletoday.com. And hopefully some other birds will send some emails to Birdie. Where is Birdie right now? Is
right
she
here.
checking her email?
Yeah, she's checking her email.
Okay.
Ironically, you can't tweet to Birdie, and Birdie can't tweet to you.
Why not?
Which is kind of funny. But
could you actually teach Birdie to use a keyboard?
She does actually like to tap on mobile devices. The problem is her beak is not capacitive, and so it doesn't usually make a difference. Now, if she licks the screen with her tongue, it will actually set the sensor off. And so she has often messed up my games on the tablet by hitting the home button and exiting me out of the game on my tablet. So
okay, so we got to figure out a way for Birdie to get her own smartphone so she can do stuff like that.
Yeah. I think Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming. So if anybody has any ideas out there, just let us know, and we'll get it going from there. So all right. Well, anything else we need to add to the show, Luke? I think we've covered it all, right?
Yeah, I do want to say on this weird wearable tech, it's weird, wild wearable tech. We see things like this and we say, oh, that's really weird, Bluetooth connected shoe, but that's how a lot of things started. I mean, Google Glass started as a cell phone strapped to your face to just see the notifications come in. Yeah, Birdie's excited about it. Yeah. And she knows that, every great idea seems to come from some just crazy off-the-wall idea, and you can just see how an idea changes and gets enhanced, and other people have this other idea, and then the technology gets smaller and cheaper and faster. And so I know we look at stuff now and it's weird, and we say, I don't think that'll ever catch on, but I'm absolutely sure that there will be stuff on that list that in 5 years, in 10 years, we'd look back and say, oh, well, actually, that kind of became this, or this thing we use now that everyone has. Like, it's kind of like that thing with a few enhancements and a few little changes to it. So I think it is probably a good list to look at of just like getting some ideas, or maybe people out there have an idea that they would get from it and they say, you know what, I could take that and I could tweak it a little bit, and then now I've got something that's really amazing. Yeah.
So you're saying in about 5 years you'll be actually wearing one of the True Love testers?
I did not say that. I did not say every device on there would be common in 5 years. I just said
what about the ear? What about the little ears? I like the ears. I mean, that's kind of a little novelty thing. Think about it. If that company was to have really thought about it, maybe they did. I haven't seen them yet. When we were in New York, you could actually buy, and the vendors, you could actually buy your 2015 gear, New Year's gear already. But what if that company with the ears would have made something that said 2015 across, and then had the sensor and just moved around for your mood? They probably would have sold a lot there. But we never know what that's going to turn into. If that's just going to turn into I'm going to control this big crane or something else other than a pair of ears.
Yeah, like it starts off as being a novelty, but then people say, well, actually, we figured out a lot of research, and we've got brain-controlled computers, which I know are people are working on, and you see examples of those. But getting the technology cheaper, where you're going somewhere and you want to take a picture of something. Well, you've got something like Google Glass with a camera, and you just kind of think, oh, that'd be neat. Yeah, take a picture, and you just have to think it, and it's just taking a picture. Or you've got some fun little stuff like that. You go to a show and you've got your little cat ears on, and your costume maybe becomes more elaborate. And I think it could be big. You never know.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, we have songs like "What Does the Fox Say?" that they
I bet.
So
But there's a lot of people.
Parties like that, I know that Well, we won't get too much more into it. But the whole idea is wearable technology. It's so small you could put it in. And one of the things I was going to talk about in that previous one with the Tamagotchi was, technically it's wearable tech for the game developers that wear the suit with all the little balls on it to figure out position and stuff like that to make your gameplay a little bit better. It's just that it's in a controlled environment in a room with special cameras pointed at you and birds that yell at you. But yeah, definitely, I bet you 20 years ago somebody wouldn't have thought of sitting in a room in a skin-tight suit with a whole bunch of balls on it, walking around and doing stuff. They would have found that completely crazy, for sure. So.
Yeah, and now we have that in the Xbox Connect,
exactly.
right? It's pretty much in millions of homes now. Is this body recognition, technology? We use it just for games, and it's gotten to be where it's good enough and cheap enough that
they use it for more than games. I've been to many car assembly plant where they show us their modeling rooms and how they have the same setup as game systems, where and they have like a mock car there, and you get into the car and then you're sitting there and they're trying to figure out how you hold the wheel. Is the door going to get in the way of holding the wheel? Is it comfortable for you to reach for the stereo knobs and stuff like that? So it grows in directions that you don't even expect it to grow into. So
yeah.
But anyway, so that pretty much does it. I think we got all the bases covered here. So the clock says it's time to go and say goodbye for this week. So Luke, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you over on this brand new thing we have called the internet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I signed up for the internet. They sent it to me on a floppy disk. I'm gonna get that installed pretty soon. But if you want to find me on Twitter, it's Luke Luca, LukeLuca, or on Google Plus at +Luke Wallace, or you can email me at luke@wearabletoday.com.
All right. And of course, Jeffrey Powers, Geekazine, Think Magazine, put in a geek. You've got Geekazine, geekazine@gmail.com, plus Jeffrey Powers, plus Geekazine, of course, you can find. And then, of course, we don't have plus Wearable today because it's plus this week in Google Glass. But I'm going to try and work on getting that switched over to Wearable today. And I think we've got everything in place the next couple of weeks. The full branding of Wearables today, or Wearable today, excuse me, wearabletodaycom will be in full swing there. So, all right, like I said, programming note: next week no show unless Luke, you find that you have to do some sort of interview or something like that. Then we'll let you guys know on the Wearable Today Google Plus page, and then in 2 weeks we'll keep you abreast of the situation for the next few weeks, depending on the news, depending on what our travel plans are for the next few weeks, and go from there. So thanks a lot, Luke, for being a part of this and every show of Wearable Today.
Thank you.
And thank you, Birdie, for being a part of Wearable Today.
Say thank you, Birdie. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she gave you a little kiss.
Kiss, kiss. All right, that is this episode of Wearable Today, episode number 58. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. We'll see you next time. You guys geek out and take care. Kiss, kiss.